Our friend Michael Callahan, Executive Vice President and also CEO, Electric Cooperatives of Mississippi, is in the house. Good morning, sir. I haven't seen you in a stock of telephone pole days.
Well, we like to call them power poles, but yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. I just tweeted this out because I don't think a lot of people understand this. In a way, Michael, your audience is our audience across the state. Tremendously, a lot of good people. But the Electric Cooperative is 26 members. Stop me if I'm wrong, and this needs to be updated. But 26-member owned and operated Electric Power Association, members out there, distributing electricity to more than 1.8 million Mississippians, serving more than 803,000 meters throughout the state. So that's pretty big.
Yeah, Paul, we have 25 distribution companies and one G&T headquartered in Hattiesburg.
What is a G&T?
Generation and Transmission Company. That's Cooperative Energy. They produce and provide power to 11 of their member systems. The other 14 distribution systems are distributors of the Tennessee Valley Authority. They get their power from the TVA.
So you get your power from the closest source, basically, to the members.
No,
not necessarily.
No, they have both of those groups. Those 11 have all requirements contracts with Cooperative Energy, and those 14 have all requirement contracts with TVA. TVA and Cooperative Energy are responsible for the generation that comes to the distribution companies.
Michael, since you've been there now for quite a while. How long? It's been quite a,
November 21st was 17 years. 17
years already. Jeez. That's a little scary. I remember when we had the first interview when you came in.
I do too, and we both had hair.
Yeah, you had your hair was a little bit different color.
It was. Somebody sent me a picture where I was on a trip and we were at dinner together. It was like a year or two into the job, and I hardly recognized myself. I had like brown hair, and there was a lot of it. And anyway,
shocking, wasn't it? Shocking.
Yeah, shocking.
How's it changed in those 17 years? I mean, because nothing stays the same. Has it grown, or some of the members dropped off, or the total population? Because, suburbs grow and some people move away from the rural areas, but how's it changed?
Our business is stable. We don't lose our cooperatives. We don't gain. In the electricity side, Paul, there's territories that the state gives you. So everybody has a defined territory where they operate in. I think the biggest change I've seen over 17 years is just our industry has gotten so much more complicated, whether it be integrating renewables into the grid, trying to survive in an environment where you use less and less carbon. We're one of the only industries that actually promote using less of the product we sell, which is kind of weird for a business to do. But the last 5 or 6 years, the big change has been the broadband. And I would think everyone will say that has been a game changer for electric cooperatives and the management and the employees that work for electric cooperatives.
I do want to talk more about the broadband. I just got to ask you this question because I'm inquisitive about this. Is the advent of solar or wind any part of the discussion as far as EPAs are concerned?
I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, Cooperative Energy, I think it's in North Lamar County, opened one of the largest, at that time, the largest solar facility east of the Mississippi River. I think it's been surpassed since then. TVA is constantly putting renewables into their generation mix across the valley wide. So that is something that we're constantly doing and on the lookout for. We live in a tough area of the country for renewables. It's very difficult to do large scale renewables.
I remember one of the conversations we had a couple of times ago when you were on. We started talking about this broadband, and it was really in the infancy, and it was complicated. Nobody had any ideas where we're going to go, how you're going to do, would it be done, or would it be even accepted? So now with all of the experience in the rearview mirror, your thought, your analysis on where the electric cooperatives are with broadband up to now.
Well, Paul, I mean, they say timing is everything. And our getting into the broadband business and timing was just absolutely incredible. I remember when Governor Bryant signed the bill in 2019, I tried to temper expectations a little bit. I really only thought about 4 to 6 of our co-ops could do broadband. And do it,
I remember you seeing that on the air.
Yeah. Because it just, it's a factor of density. And if you take all of our service territory across the state, we only average 8 meters per mile, and there's not always a house associated with that meter. So our density was low, on average across the state, and I just didn't know if it could be done. But two things happened that I didn't see or expect. Number one was a worldwide pandemic, where we would all be locked in our house and would need a pipeline to get out to the world. And number two was the legislature giving us, making available $75 million that the co-ops took advantage of 73.2. And up until that point, we only had about 4 systems that were trying to do broadband. Mm-hmm. When the legislature made that money available, kind of as to use as a pilot project and let our guys go out there, that jumped from 4 to 15. And they started basically August of 2020, and within about 12 months, they had over 20,000 people connected. Amazing. Who up until that time had nothing at all. And it was very remarkable. And what we've seen, and I don't know, without the pandemic, Paul, I just don't think we have the kind of success that we're having, because the pandemic showed everybody how important it was to have that lifeline to the outside world. Yeah. And that is, our subscriber rates are just, they're exceeding our wildest expectations. They really are.
Well, because we were forced into that, as you said, and it was all about the kids, too. And when you started talking about distance learning, these people were just, at their wits' end. How can we do this? Parents understood that, number one, they weren't equipped to educate their kids in homeschooling. And the other thing that I think drove this a little bit at that same point was how nice it was and how secure it was to have that there as far as telemedicine. And I think most people in our audience understood the infancy of where telemedicine is today was going to exponentially grow as time went on. And it was a service that, man, you could pick up the phone and say, look, my kid's this or that, especially if you could do it on audio and video. It was just an amazing asset. So you are right. Those two assets, along with other things, kicked the broadband need in high drive.
It really did, and I will tell you, Paul, it has been a bonanza for us in many ways. I track our membership as part of the dues formula for the guys who are part of my association, and we had been pretty much stagnant since the Great Recession of 08-09. We had kind of just, we were kind of breaking even. We had the Oxford area, Northeast, and the DeSoto County area, North Central, were co-ops that were growing, but everybody else was pretty much stagnant or declining. And even though I don't have any empirical evidence to show that it's a broadband, the last 2 years we are actually leading the nation in co-op growth here in Mississippi. We had one of our financiers, Cooperative Finance Corporation, was talking at our annual meeting here back in September, and he confirmed that we already knew that we were leading the trend. And there's just a part of me that's got to believe that the broadband, the availability of that, is part of the reason for our growth, because I don't think if you've ever had broadband, especially a fiber connection, which is second to none, it's hard once you have, and you don't realize, Paul, it kind of sneaks into your life, and you don't realize how much you're using it until you don't have it, and then you begin to miss it and go like, wow, I didn't know I needed it that much.
Well, also, if you have broadband, you have TV.
Yes. I sent 3 kids to college and none took a TV. They all took computer. Yeah. On Saturdays during football, I get a deal. Your YouTube is full. Somebody's got to get off, kind of thing.
You have so many availabilities. Even if you don't have a cable subscriber that's servicing that area, you've got just about everything you need, don't you?
You do. And Paul, and let me say what.
Well, hold that. We'll come back. We've got another segment here. We're talking with Michael Callahan. Michael is Executive Vice President, CEO, Electric Power Association, Electric Cooperatives of Mississippi. I won't even ask him about Southern football. Well, maybe I'll ask him about Southern football.
Hey, to the top.
Yeah. Yeah. Final segment with Michael Callahan. But we're talking about a number of different things. I do want to ask you this also. We had Sally on last week at Doty of Beam. And I know that she's trying desperately to make sure we get all that information, take advantage of those dollars. Your comments on that, as far as a survey and a mapping of underserved areas.
Yeah, man, Paul, this is one of these. I think your listenership will appreciate this. What's the most feared words in the languages? I'm from the federal government, and I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
before Thanksgiving, co-ops from around the country, we hit D.C. Our national association has kind of spun off a broadband part. And we had the opportunity to talk with every program director up there, from NTIA to Treasury to the House Agriculture Committee and all. And these programs are just moving too slow. The head of the BEAD program said it could be the end of 2024 or the first quarter of 2025 before any money comes out. Jeez. And we all kind of went, well, we'll be done. I mean, we're building now. We've got low interest rates that we've borrowed. We've got equipment. We've got contractors. If we let any of that go, we may not get it back. So we can't slow down. Plus, our membership is begging us to move forward. And so that was probably the most disheartening part of the meeting for me, was hearing just how slow government is moving with these monies. The maps are an issue. I think right now, my reading and understanding of the map is they're saying about 78% of the state of Mississippi can get 100 down and 20 up, which is what they want you to build to. So that means that's going to cost us a lot of money. But I don't know. It's just one of those things where, it sounds like a good program and it sounds good, but in actuality, it may be too little too late.
Of your 26, how many are participating?
We have, one of them's a generation transmission company, so you take him out. So we got 25 possible.
Okay.
We have 17 that actually have a broadband subsidiary that are giving ISP service. We have another co-op that is working in conjunction with their local telephone company, trying to help facilitate and get it out. We have another co-op that's in talks that I don't think they're quite finished with yet. So we could have about 19 actively engaged. I know some of the others in the Delta. We've had meetings with those co-ops and providers in the Delta, saying, hey, what can we do to help you get it out to our, do you need us to give you the poles? What do you need from us to help you get it out? And I think most of these guys are trying. It's just, this is very capital intensive. To date, Paul, we've spent over $750,000. So, $750 million, $750 million, and we're not finished yet. We will probably, when all 17 of ours have built out to their entire service territory, we're going to be looking right at $1 billion. This is one of the largest economic development projects in Mississippi's history, and it will blanket coverage through a large part of this state. And the one area I do think, going back to the BEAD monies, that I think will help will be the Mississippi Delta, because the Delta's tough. I mean, you know the Delta is very sparsely populated, and for a capital-intensive business, you've got to have people using this product. I mean, not only do you have to put it in, but you also have the money to operate it and maintain it over the life of the 40 years.
You got to have the subscribers.
You got to have the subscribers, and so I do think that some of that money will help in the Delta, but for some of the other parts, I think a lot of our co-ops will be finished by 2024, early 2025.
Are they able to do this, Michael, without raising the electricity rates? This has nothing to do with the electricity rates. This is going to be
nothing to do with electricity rates whatsoever. The money, the $73.2 million the legislator gave us was kind of seed money. Right now, I think that money represents about 12% of our total spend that we spent. Most of that money has been borrowed. The co-op, I'm sure in most cases had to kind of back that loan, which the law allows us to do, but it will have no effect on your rates whatsoever. In fact, Paul, if the broadband company is successful, it will actually go in the other direction. It will help lower the electric rates of the cooperative. If
you're not worried about profit, but you've got to have some operating expense in there, right?
You do, but also that money flows. That money will flow from the profits or the margin that comes from the broadband flows back to the co-op, and we have something called the 85-15 rule that only allows us to make so much money for non-member income, and so if you begin to get close to violating that rule, you lose your nonprofit status. So you've got to do something with that money. You've got to lower the price of broadband. You got to lower the price of electricity. So I tell everybody when I go talk, listen. If your co-op is delivering broadband service, you're getting the most advanced technology out there available because we're building in a greenfield. We're starting fresh from scratch. So you've got the biggest and the best. If that broadband company is successful, not only does your money stay in state, it stays in your community. And, oh, by the way, if it's successful, your electricity rates are going to go lower because of it.
Is it comparative comparable to other cable systems
Absolutely.
or other internet systems
Absolutely.
as far as the
Absolutely.
cost is concerned?
Yes, our guys work very hard because one thing we knew, Paul, is yes, we can build this out to where there's nothing. We can do that. Mm-hmm. But if you can't do it at a price where the members can afford it, what's the point? You know, it doesn't do the members any good if they can't afford it. It doesn't do us any good to build it if they can't take it. So we were very cognizant of the price we put out there. Our pricing is very comparative to everyone else out there. And that's the thing that's really disappointing about the money from the federal government, Paul. You know, the money we get, if we could get some, and there is a capital project fund that will come available in January, which is probably our last best hope. It will go through Sally's office. It's $154 million. But, you know, the more money we get from whatever source, the quicker we can lower rates and get the cost down. Because once we pay our debt service off to our lenders, we really don't have any need to make a ton of money. You know, we can lower the cost of the product.
Anything that you're going to be approaching the 2023 session with?
No, sir. You know, we got our hands full. We're working hard. You know, seems like since 2016 we've had bills constantly at the legislature. I'm kind of ready for a break. So we just want them to come in, do their business. And of course, I don't know if your listeners probably understand, but we got another election year coming in 2023.
A big one next year.
Last time it was for people to go to D.C. This time it's for the governor all the way down to the dog catcher. This really hits home. So be interesting to see how that shakes out.
By the time the bowl games are over, we get down to some heavy politics in 2023. It'll be there. Speaking of which, Southern Miss will be taking on Rice in the Lending Tree Bowl in Mobile, Alabama.
Yes, I'm so proud of my Golden Eagles. I think Will Hall's done a great job down there. He's turned the program around, I think, faster than people thought he would. It's great. And I think
you can still play a position there?
Me? No.
Yeah.
No. It hurts just to get out of bed in the morning for me, Paul. Somebody said the other day, said, you look like you could still play. I said, well, if they didn't make me get down to 3-point stance, I'd be okay.
We had a comedy routine the other day. Michael said, when you hurt yourself sleeping, you know you're getting old.
You know, actually, Paul, what hurts is sneezing. I got to where I hate to sneeze because I'm scared I'm going to break something, you know.
Not sure if something's going to pop or snap or something. Ole Miss will be taking on Texas Tech in Houston for the Tax Act Texas Bowl on Wednesday, December the 28th. The Bulldogs will be facing Illinois in Tampa in the ReliaQuest Bowl. That is 11 a.m. on January 2nd. And, of course, Southern Miss's game against Rice is on December the 17th. So getting ready for the bowl season. Michael, it's always a pleasure, sir. Don't be so much a stranger. You got something, come give us a fill-in every once in a while.
I will. And thank you for having me. And
good to have you, man.
Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Same to you, and for you and your family and all of the electric co-ops out there. As I said, across the rural state of Mississippi, just about every location, we have our SuperTalk family. So it's good to be able to speak to all of them collectively, and they're a big part of this show in the mornings. Every morning, and we thank them. Michael, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Paul.
Michael Callahan, Executive Vice President and CEO, Electric Cooperatives of Mississippi.